It is the final NFL weekend of the 2024 season, and there is something specific that we are going to be looking for from the Eagles this Sunday, and we know it will not be the starters. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. We'll dig deeper into the Eagles-Giants game, what I'm looking forward to in the game, plus some thoughts from two guys who have worked around the NFL. That would be Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks on the Eagles and their roster building, and why that roster building is a very big key into what you are going to see Sunday with none of the starters on the field. As always, you guys can join the conversation, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Plus, joining me in less than 20 minutes from now will be Dave Weinberg. Of course, you get just extra point columns at 973ESPN.com. No Weinberg Wednesday the last 2 weeks because, well, guess what? There have been holidays on Wednesdays. But Dave will join me a little bit later today because I do want to get Dave's perspective on a couple of Eagles items heading into this weekend. But before we get to any of that, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you realize, whether you want to admit it or not, all right, that no matter how many games they win, no matter how you feel about Nick Sirianni, no matter any of the frivolous debates that happen sometimes with this team, there is something unique about the Philadelphia Eagles. And it is the fact that this organization has done an incredible job over the last 8 years at plug and play when it comes to numerous players. Well, on the Move the Sticks podcast, they were talking about the guys who got selected to the Pro Bowl. One of those guys being Cam Jurgens. And frankly, I think a lot of us were wondering, how is Cam Jurgens going to fill the Jason Kelce void? And as I wrote about at 973ESPN.com, and if you got the alert through the 973 ESPN mobile app, Jason Kelce, he's a media star now. Okay, this man has gone from being future Hall of Famer, All-Pro, to being on a gazillion commercials, hosting his own TV show, having a podcast, being a part of ESPN's Monday Night Countdown. I mean, the guy has turned into this media darling. And we were wondering, how is this Cam Jurgens guy going to do when he's barely played center his entire life? Here is former NFL scout, now NFL Network analyst, Daniel Jeremiah.
How about the Philadelphia Eagles? You have a Hall of Famer in Kelce who retires, and you don't necessarily even have to go out and find one because you already took care of his replacement while he was still there. You invested in Cam Jurgens. You let him sit under a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's when you're well run, man. When you've got so much depth along the offensive line, you can take a high pick, invest it in someone who you know doesn't even need to get out there right away, who can play guard if you need him to, but then eventually takes over at center.
Think about all the players the Philadelphia Eagles have had to replace over the years. All right, think about it just for a moment. Jason Peters replaced him with Jordan Mailata. Brandon Brooks was an all-pro caliber guard. They replaced him with Isaac Seumalo, and then they replaced Isaac Seumalo with the guy who never played guard in his life, Mekhi Becton. Now they replaced Jason Kelce with Cam Jurgens, a guy who barely had any experience as a center beyond the last couple of years of his football life. And I'm supposed to think anything else except for, wow, this organization is really good at roster building. More from the Move the Sticks podcast.
He sits for a minute, plays guard. Now he gets a chance to go to his natural position at center, and he's in the Pro Bowl, one of the best centers in the NFL. Like that's having guys ready to rock and roll, man, having depth.
It's team building, and that's what you're doing. And people always get on teams for taking best player available and those things, but the Philadelphia Eagles have a blueprint that has worked successfully.
The Philadelphia Eagles have a blueprint. And this goes back to the Howie Roseman conversation. There was a time in this fan base where Howie Roseman was one of the most hated, one of the most untrustworthy people in the city. And to me, I think Howie has earned the right to demand apologies from all the haters, not just because they won the Super Bowl in 2017, but it's also because of the fact that Howie has endured. This is a man who has drafted numerous Pro Bowlers, numerous All-Pros, and every time Howie has made a mistake, he has found a way to rectify it. When the Eagles gave Carson Wentz that contract, and then 2 years later it came back to bite him, Howie didn't flinch. He found a way to get rid of it. At least get rid of Wentz, and found a way to eat the money in a way that didn't destroy the team's ability to compete. He drafted Jalen Reagor. He didn't keep him for 5 years. He got rid of him. And over the years, Howie has become a better drafter. And he has showcased that he is a better GM than quote-unquote football guy Joe Douglas. Howie Roseman is arguably the best general manager in football. And he is the reason why, in large part, that you have this team in a position for another deep playoff run. More from Bucky Brooks on the Move the Sticks podcast.
They invest in the bigs on the offense and defensive line. They're not afraid to go and get playmakers when the playmaker lines up with what, the draft grades and stuff is. And they're always not only thinking about this year, but they're thinking about next year and 2 years down the road, what's coming up. Good team builders are always on it. They think about the here and now, but they're always trying to keep the team in contention going forward.
Howie Roseman fits that to a T. And it's because of the team building. It's because of the drafting. It's because of what they have done why the most important storyline going into this Sunday has to do with the players who will play on Sunday. Yeah, no starters this week. The Eagles have listed almost every starter as either out or doubtful for Sunday's game. And now you get to see development time for players who are either going to be depth players, future starters, or future trade assets. And I'm specifically referring to Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee is in position to make Howie Roseman look like a genius again. Here's why I say that. For those of you who were just introduced to Tanner McKee in his most recent game, or you're someone who looks at Tanner McKee and just says, wow, he's a prototype quarterback that I like, may I remind you how he got to Philadelphia. He was a 6th round pick. Why was Tanner McKee a 6th round pick? Because Tanner McKee was all talent and no production in college. And I don't mean no production as in he didn't do anything. I mean, for a guy with his size, 6'6", 230 pounds, with his arm, with his talent, never threw more than 15 touchdowns in a season during his 2 years starting in college. Now, I understand part of the issue in college was he did sustain an injury early on, and it impacted him the rest of his playing time. Totally get that. But the man never had more than 15 passing touchdowns in a season. In college football, there are dudes who have 30, 40 passing touchdowns, seems like all the time. And I know I'm embellishing and exaggerating, but you get the idea. So this guy fell to the Eagles because he had, for lack of a better term, a mediocre college career. The guy threw a total of 28 touchdowns over the course of 23 games in college. he averaged just over a touchdown a game. But the Eagles said there is talent to be had here. So we'll develop him. And you saw the byproduct of that development on Sunday. A guy who could throw 2 touchdowns, be inserted into the lineup. And you ask, well, how is it possible for Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee to play so well in this offense? Is Jalen Hurts overrated? Well, Hurts is not overrated. It's actually a byproduct of how the Eagles prepare their players. You might not know this, but while Jalen Hurts gets prepped and gets treatment in the locker room or when he's doing his warm-ups on the sideline, the quarterbacks who are throwing to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Jahan Dotson and Grant Calcaterra and Dallas Goedert during warm-ups are Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. So those players have a familiarity with those quarterbacks and the way the ball comes out of their hand. And now Howie Roseman, after developing the organization, developing this player, Howie Roseman can trot Tanner McKee out there, him have a good game against the Giants, and start making phone calls this offseason and start a bidding war to get a draft pick for Tanner McKee. He can convert a player who was a mediocre college player, who was a 6th-round pick, into a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. Because that's what Howie Roseman does. And that, to me, is the biggest story this Sunday. That you have an opportunity to turn a player who was a nothing into a something. Jalix Hunt, he might have a big game on Sunday. The Eagles' backups have a chance to put on a show, or shall I say, put on a show to display the roster building that this organization has done. And to Shaner and EHT's question at 609-403-0973, you are not wrong. Chip Kelly kicked Howie Roseman out of the building. Chip Kelly, for a 2-year period, convinced the owner of the Eagles that Howie Roseman didn't know what he was doing. And even though numerous players liked Howie, appreciated talking with Howie, got along with Howie, one power-hungry, snarky human being, Chip Kelly, couldn't stand him because he was jealous, he was insecure, and Chip Kelly almost destroyed everything the Eagles had ever built to the point where he is the only man that Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles owner, has fired during a season. Jeffrey Lurie has hired Ray Rhodes, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and Nick Sirianni. But only one of the 4 men he has fired did he fire in season. And you're right, Shaner and EHT. I think Howie did learn something by being humble. Because as I like to always say, if you guys listen to me long enough here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Friday night, I'm a big believer that every great man only becomes great after he has been humbled by something in his life. And I think Howie's ascension to being arguably the best GM in football is because it was a humbling experience to be stripped of a job that he had spent over 15 years earning. And he has rebounded very well. We'll talk more about it with Dave Weinberg, former longtime Eagles beat writer and now 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist. He joins me next on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One, inviting you to join us for a special NFL Week 18 Saturday doubleheader. It's 2 games that'll decide the AFC North title, beginning with the Browns at the 11-5 Ravens, followed by the Bengals at the 10-6 Steelers. Can Lamar Jackson in Baltimore win their 4th straight game to claim their 2nd straight division title? Join us to find out.
It's NFL Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 4 p.m.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Your booty past the clean test. Salmon weave texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than the leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Well, the tree's gone. Family and friends are gone. Decorations need to go. But not as much as your old car. Get to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is giving 120% over KBB fair market value for your old beater.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
New Nissan Rogue, 0 down, 0% financing for 60 months. Have a job clearing $450 per week? You're virtually approved today. New 2025 Matt Blatt Nissan Sentra S, just $159 per month lease with 0 security deposit. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle, plus tax tag and $689 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. 39 months, 10,000 miles, 1,500 due through NEMAC. VIN SY231958. MSRP $22,730. Offer ends 1/14/2025. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Are you an oblivious person hogging the sidewalk like a large dying snail? Do people stuck behind you ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should go to Mattress Firm. They have tons of quality beds at every price. So anyone, even...
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because...
5. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply.
Healthier starts here with Get Covered New Jersey. Open enrollment is happening now. If you need health insurance, get quality, affordable coverage with plan options that fit your life and your budget. 9 in 10 get financial help, and many pay $10 a month or less. All plans provide free preventive care, coverage for prescriptions, emergency services, and more. Enroll by January 31st at getcovered.nj.gov.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NHL, the Flyers lose to the Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday 5-2. Travis Konecny and Tyson Foerster had goals for Philadelphia, but they've dropped 6 of their last 9. The Golden Knights pulled away with 3 goals in the second period. Flyers head to Toronto Sunday to take on the Maple Leafs. NBA Thursday, Philadelphia losing to Golden State in San Francisco 139-105. Joel Embiid had a double-double in the loss as he returned to the Sixers lineup, 28 points, 14 rebounds, but Golden State led from start to finish, and the Sixers road trip will end Saturday in Brooklyn against the Nets. NFL, the Eagles closing out the regular season Sunday, hosting the New York Giants. Starters will sit this one out, according to head coach Nick Sirianni, including Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We are tracking snow moving through South Jersey this evening. Let's not ignore the next storm threat, though. Sunday night into Monday looks more impactful and more widespread. Keep a close eye on the forecast this weekend. We'll see snow taper off around 10 p.m., an inch or two of accumulation looking likely here. Clearing skies overnight, low 29. Partly sunny, windy and colder tomorrow, high 33. Only 34 Sunday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Cast your line for adventure at the 2025 Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo at the Wildwoods Convention Center. 3 days of fishing and boating excitement with over 80,000 square feet of exhibits, the latest gear, expert seminars, and win a Yeti 65 at a free raffle drawing. The expo runs January 10th through the 12th, Friday 1 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 2. $10 for adults, $3 for kids. Tickets available at the box office. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com for more.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Talk more about the Eagles as they enter the final week of NFL 2024 season, although it's ending in 2025, which is probably confusing for some people. Either way, Dave Weinberg is back and joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, we rarely speak on Friday, so how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you? I'm still trying to get over Arizona State's heartbreaking loss from the other night, but that's life.
Yeah, that's life. Well, listen, you got to give those guys credit for fighting back. I mean, they looked like they were dead in that game. They got back to overtime, so I think it's a strong credit to the head coach Dillingham and Cam Scattaboo.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, they were quite frankly they were outclassed in the first half, but then they came fighting back, and really they probably should have won the game. I mean, there was a disputed targeting call that everybody's talking about, the non-call that that took away a scoring opportunity for them, and then like a 4th and 13 in overtime, you just have to make that play, and you do that, you're going to the next round. But it was a great year for the Sun Devils. They were picked to finish last in the Big 12 and wound up winning the conference and had a great year. So yeah, congrats to them.
So I want to ask you a couple things about the Eagles, because obviously we know.
Oh, sure, okay.
If you don't mind,
No, yeah, please do. I'll take off my ears. Yeah, there you go.
I will say this really quick about that. I think that the best news Ohio State fans could get was that game, because I think Arizona State did expose Texas's defense in that game, and I think Ohio State can use some of that information. So maybe if Ohio State wins the national championship, maybe they can send like a little potluck lunch or something to Arizona State or something.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
That's like a little thank you gift. This Sunday, we know the starters aren't playing.
Correct.
But I do think it's interesting that we have a very unique storyline that is very unique to Philadelphia, Dave, as someone who's covered the Eagles for many years, which is the backup quarterback. And I was saying before you came on, the Eagles, if Tanner McKee goes out there and has a good game, let's say, the Eagles could certainly trade him for a draft pick this offseason, because they've done it with A.J. Fielden. They've done it with Kevin Cobb. I mean, this organization turned the failure of Carson Wentz into 2nd and 3rd round pick swaps, for goodness sake. So, I can totally see Tanner McKee having 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then Howie's on the phone in March being like, who wants to give me a 3rd round pick for this guy?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, they have a reputation, like you mentioned, of getting some value for their backup quarterbacks, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they shop Tanner if he has a good game. Although I don't know how much stock the opposing GMs would put in it, considering that it'll be against the Giants backups, which are probably dreadful, considering the starters are dreadful. So, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that scenario happening where you come March or even draft day, they Howie's on the phone and then working his magic with Tanner McKee.
I mean, I would say that I would, if I was an executive, not saying it's a smart move necessarily, but if I was an executive, I do have to ask the question, what is more valuable, seeing Tanner McKee for a quarter and a game against NFL caliber players, or seeing Tyler Shuck of Louisville against, I don't know, Wake Forest?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's NFL quarterback playing against NFL players. Yeah, man, most definitely. I guess they would shop Pickett too, right? I mean, he played pretty well before he got hurt, so why not? And what if you can get one of the two, then keep the other one?
Well, the reason why I don't say Pickett is because Pickett costs more money right now. Whereas Tanner McKee is in NFL terms cheap as dirt, basically.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. Yep,
so if you're let's say, and I'm only using this team as an example, I'm not saying it's going to happen literally, but if you're like the team like the Colts, right? And Anthony Richardson's been a bust. Joe Flacco's just getting too old, right?
Yeah.
You could trade for Tanner McKee, and you could draft somebody, and you could just be like, all right, boys, you compete. You know what I mean? Like, you could do something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's teams out there that need quarterbacks, and yeah, why not? I mean, more competition is better. I mean, it doesn't. From what I understand, this isn't like a really strong quarterback class
No.
coming in. You have a couple. Sanders gets a lot of hype, and Cam Ward from Miami, but those guys are no sure things by any stretch. I don't think anyway. So yeah, the more the merrier. Bring in another guy and have them compete. Definitely, that makes a lot of sense.
And in the NFL, if we have learned anything, Dave, especially in the last few years, coaching is more important than people realize because
Oh,
you
sure.
you look at I was saying to Mike Gill earlier today on the Sports Bash, I said for all the people who are applauding the Denver Broncos for drafting Bo Nix, I guarantee you, if you swap Bo Nix with Caleb Williams would be having the good year in Denver, and Bo Nix would be stinking in Chicago. Okay, the coaching matters a lot with these quarterbacks.
Yeah, it does definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I go to that extreme, but yeah, definitely. Bo Nix has benefited from the staff. Sean Payton and his staff, and no question about it. And Caleb is kind of like up,
Suffering.
still searching for some guidance. So yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, I don't know that Caleb will be having the success that Bo has, but I can see your point there. I mean, he'd be having a better year, no question about it.
I mean, you look at Sam Darnold. I mean, that guy went from the Jets to the Panthers, and we all sold him down the river, right? Then he goes to San Francisco for 1 year. Kevin O'Connell brings him in, and now the Vikings are going to the postseason with a chance at the number 1 seed, where most people were like, Sam Darnold's a bust and blah, blah, blah. And it's not that Darnold's a bust, but it's also not that he should have been the 3rd pick in the draft, Dave. It's the fact that unless your name is John Elway, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, the coaching for these guys really matters more than I think we realize.
Oh yeah, you did. It's all about getting in the right system with the right backing too. Yeah. Like you say, systems. Make quarterbacks, and then that's definitely true in this case. I mean, Sam just happened to be in the perfect situation now, and he's really thriving because of it. And you saw the Vikings' reaction in the locker room after the game. I mean, hoisting them on their shoulders and celebrating, and that was kind of cool to see. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely you get in the wrong system, then your career can be delayed or even ruined.
I'm not saying it's the same, but watching the Darnold situation, it gave me Nick Foles vibes. Like the way the players rally around a guy because they're like, that's our guy. And like you saw that in the Eagles locker room in
Sure.
17 and 18 that like there were guys, and I know guys like Fletcher Cox and Chris Long joke about it a little bit, but those guys genuinely liked Nick Foles and they loved playing with him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had that locker room won over, no question about it. I mean, Carson was probably the more talented guy, but for whatever
Right.
reason, the players seemed to gravitate to Nick more, and even like stepped up their games because they knew that maybe Nick wasn't the most talented guy. But I mean, he was very talented, more talented than what people realize. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the support of the teammates, and that a huge factor behind his success in Philly, as you saw when he went elsewhere, didn't even come close to matching it.
Talking with Dave Weinberg here on a Football Friday on 97.3 ESPN at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform. Extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Although I'm looking forward to your 2-minute drill this Sunday because it's literally going to be the band of misfit toys out there.
Yeah,
So,
you're not kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some interesting factoids in that story. But I did want to address someone who, speaking of 2017, because you covered this guy, Rodney McLeod will be playing his final game in the NFL tomorrow for the Cleveland Browns. And even though he is a veteran who could basically go to the coaching staff, Dave, and say, hey, I don't want to play this final game, I'm on a bad team, he's going out there and playing. He's been working with all the young players this week in Cleveland. So tell the audience about Rodney McLeod.
Yeah, the epitome of class. Rodney was always a hard worker, always put the team ahead of himself. Completely selfless guy, and very good player too. By the way, he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit with Malcolm Jenkins, but he was a fantastic player and a great guy to have in the locker room too. And that can't be understated. I mean, I'm wishing nothing but the best in the future because he's a first class guy, no question about it.
I'm currently writing an article about Rodney McLeod and his game tomorrow. And, one of the things I go back to, Dave, is I remember when they signed him. He was turning 26 years old. And I remember it very vividly because I was working, with my first year working here at 97.3 ESPN. And I remember thinking, this is the first time the Eagles have had a legitimate safety tandem, and I don't know how long, because Malcolm Jenkins, remember, they kept rotating guys in there next to him for a couple years. And
Yep.
Rodney was an up-and-coming player. He was a guy on the ascend in then St. Louis Rams. And I remember, I believe it was his first 2 years, he had 3 interceptions each year. And a large part of those turnovers were because of the fact that people were so afraid to throw anywhere near Malcolm that Rodney took advantage of opportunities that, I got to be honest, Dave, I don't know how many other safeties would have taken advantage, especially when their reputation, Dave, was not being interception guys. Rodney McLeod is more of a thumper.
Right. Yeah, the opportunity presented itself, like you said, and he definitely took advantage of it. I mean, like I said, that's a credit to his work ethic. That's a credit to his approach to the game, his preparation, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to say transformed himself, but yeah, he made himself into a different kind of player, more of a ball hawk than a big hitter, though. That was always a part of his game, and still is, I would imagine. So yeah, it's you probably have to go back. Oh gosh, I don't know. Dawkins and Quentin Michael, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you have to go like way back to find guys that a better safety tandem than Malcolm and Rodney. That's for sure.
I mean, Dawkins and Quentin Michael were the only ones I could think of as I was going through the years, and and obviously if I looked harder at the roster, maybe I could find one. But and the only reason why we go Dawkins and Quentin Michael is because Dawkins is a Hall of Famer, and it's not like we're saying Jenkins and McLeod were not really good players, but Dawkins was just such a freakish legend that it's like he elevates whoever was next to him. Like he could have had you and me out there and it would have made us look good.
Probably not quite to that extent, but yeah, I get your point.
Well, I always go back to, and it's, I don't know how much you know about Peyton Manning's career, but one of the things that Brandon Stokely talked about in a couple interviews I saw was that he said Peyton Manning was such a talented quarterback. He knew the routes better than the receivers did, and he literally could put guys in a position to look great. And Brandon Stokely said, I wasn't that good of a player, but Peyton Manning made me look like I could be like a Pro Bowler, And I always think of Hall of Fame players, like Dawkins and other defensive players, how such good communicators they were. They put guys in a position to be successful around them.
Yeah, I mean that goes with being a strong leader and a captain. It goes beyond the guys who are in the Hall of Fame are outstanding players, no question about it. But there's the intangibles like that often go unnoticed. But yeah, I mean, special quarterbacks, the safeties, the guys who are the field generals, they can set guys up to be successful, and that was definitely the case with those guys.
Does Dave Weinberg have a favorite Rodney McLeod story?
Oh gosh. Honestly, nothing really sticks out. I mean, he was just like just an all around good player and a great guy. I mean, I can't think of any episode that really sticks out as far as an anecdote, but I just remember him as being like I said, because a first class guy, tremendous interview, always told the truth, never gave you the stock answer. He was always thoughtful about his responses, and like you said, a fantastic player. That's kind of it was just a culmination of everything that really struck with me with him.
So my favorite story was the first game he ever played in the Eagles uniform. He had an interception. It was against the Cleveland Browns. It was the game where the Eagles knocked RG3 out of the game. And
oh, okay.
The reason why I go to that game is because that was the game where I felt a lot of Eagle fans realized, oh wait, we signed this guy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the attitude is how Eagle fans are. They get so wrapped up in whatever's on their mind. They forget about half the team, and it's all the conversation where they drafted Carson Wentz and they traded Sam Bradford and all that stuff. And I just remember the Eagles. I mean, they thoroughly beat down the Browns in that game, and Rodney had an interception. I remember, at least for myself, thinking, oh my gosh, we actually have a real safety next to Malcolm Jenkins.
Oh, it's good memory.
I can't tell you much else about his year that year. I have to look it up. But I mean, the one game I remember.
What year was it?
2016. His first game he played with the Eagles.
Doug's first year. Okay, I got you.
Well, because you remember the whole thing was they drafted Wentz, but they had Bradford, and then Wentz. What did he do? I think he broke his wrist. I think it was in training. Was his wrist or his ribs? I forget.
Ribs.
Yeah, he broke his ribs. He didn't play the rest of training camp and the preseason.
But started anyway. Yep.
But then they traded Bradford basically 7 days before the season started. And so all the conversation I remember going into that game was about Wentz, you know. And then the Eagles defense just came out and just thumped the Browns in that game. And they knocked RG3 out of the game, and Rodney McLeod got an interception in the game.
Very good. Good memory.
I told you, I can't tell you about every game of the 2016 season, but I can tell you about that. Because you know how it is, Dave Weinberg joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. The storylines, they drive conversation, right?
Oh, sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
I just remember all the talk about, I mean, it was almost nauseating by the time the season started. I remember telling a buddy of mine, Dave, I was like, so glad this season is finally starting. I'm tired of talking about what if Carson Wentz. I want to see the guy on the field, for goodness sake. I was tired already at that point of the guy.
My only memory of 2016 was him playing in Baltimore, and the Eagles scored a late touchdown and decided to go for two rather than one, and didn't make it. But just the fact that Doug went for it, that seemed like that kind of sold over the team and the players, that they really believed in the guy and knew that he had their backs and had confidence in them. And that seemed to be kind of like a springboard, I thought, to their future success. The fact that he went for it in that game. He had enough trust in him to try it.
And if I remember correctly, that was the final game of Lane Johnson's suspension, right? Because he returned the next week and they won.
Yep.
And I remembered at the press conference, because one of the benefits of this job, as you know, Dave, is when you're covering the team closely, you remember some of these press conferences, right? You remember some of these situations. And I remember that press conference, he was asked about going for two after the game. And it was the first time I remember Doug being almost indignant. He had this attitude, he's like, why wouldn't I go for two? I'm trying to win the game, you know?
Right,
and I forget who asked it. I know it wasn't you because I recognized your voice. But it was one of the other reporters asked the question, but they were like, hey, Doug, you had a chance to go to overtime. Why would you go for two? And he was like, well, I'm trying to win the game. It's like, why wouldn't I go for two?
Right.
I remember his answer was just so, the man, Dave, was so secure in his decision that to him, it was so bizarre to anyone to question it. And that was that was one of those Doug Peterson moments, right? I thought that was the first time I remember Doug, just standing up there and being like, who are you guys asking me these questions, you know? And I know he was infamous at times for that, where you guys would ask him questions and he would be like, why are you asking me that question, you know?
Yep.
You know, it was such a moment, like you said, the players looked at Doug and well, this guy believes in us. Come on, man. We, you know, at least the coach believes us. The city might not believe us.
Right. Yeah,
the coach does.
Yep, absolutely. Very true.
I feel bad for Doug. I mean, he went to a no-win situation in Jacksonville. He's probably going to get fired.
Yeah,
and
I do too.
You know what Doug needs to do, Dave? Doug needs to go to college now and go win a national championship. That's what's next.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, and then he could do it too. I mean, he has the personality to do that.
Oh,
I mean,
he has the personality.
Yeah. Not everybody can make that transition, but he could definitely. That's a great idea.
I can totally see him yucking it up with a prospect, you know, and his parents, and just going to the boosters and being like, "Come on, guys, don't you love the school?" You know. But then on game day, just pure fire and brimstone at the refs.
Yep.
I forget the one game. I think it was the Saints game when they got crushed in 2018, and there was a hit that they didn't call, and just the look on his face, he was screaming at the official, and you can see it on TV. Looked like he wanted to kill the guy.
Yeah, he came across as a laid back kind of guy a lot of times, but yeah, there's definitely that fiery attitude to him as well.
such a competitive guy. That's always thought of Doug Peterson. Like, you might not like the way he talks sometimes, but I mean, the guy wants to win, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Just feel bad for him. I mean, that
Me too.
Jacksonville
I
franchise
feel
is just a mess.
I feel horrible for him. I wouldn't fire him, but I guess they probably will, just for the owner's just completely clueless. So.
Who knows? I mean, the owner went into the season saying, Dave, it was the best roster in Jacksonville history. And obviously that wasn't true.
No. And then Trevor gets hurt, and everything else goes down the tubes. Yep.
Although I will say, you got to give Doug credit. He's gotten the most out of Mac Jones.
Oh, yeah, he has. Yep. He's
I mean,
one of those... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're Jacksonville, I mean, maybe you trade Mac Jones for a draft pick at this point.
Yeah, there you go. Good point.
Poor Doug. He doesn't get credit when he deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, poor Doug. He's gonna lose the job in Jacksonville, and then he's gonna go somewhere else and win. It's gonna make the Jags look dumb.
Mm-hmm. That happens a lot. Yep.
All right, Dave. I appreciate you humoring me today.
Oh, no problem at all.
ESPN. When a game on Sunday doesn't have a lot going, it's more about memory lane than it is about,
Oh, sure. What'd you do New Year's Eve? Anything exciting?
I relaxed. I chilled.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was literally me and 4 other people. And it was
okay. Okay.
Ball drops. You know, just like, hey, Happy New Year. All right. And then you know how it is now. You text or you message all your people, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
You know, and then a couple hours later, you're asleep. You know.
I usually don't even make it to midnight, but I did this year. We went. My wife and I go out with a few other couples. We go to the Lobster House every year, but it's like around. It's like 6 o'clock, so we're done in plenty of time. But usually I'm in bed by 10. But this time I made it to midnight.
Well, I will say that I have to admit, I know I'm getting old, Dave, when I don't know half of these celebrities are on these shows. Like I
was saying that to my wife. I'm like, who is this person? I don't even.
I mean, I like there was some lady who was singing. I didn't recognize the song. I didn't recognize her. I was like, I don't know what's going on. They had some comedian up there, and like she was making jokes, and I was like, the jokes were funny, but I'm like, I have no idea who this lady is.
Right. Probably Whitney Cummings. Was that who it was? I don't know.
Oh, is that who it was?
Probably, yeah.
I just remembered I thought the jokes were funny because especially the reactions that Anderson Cooper and what's his name were having.
Definitely Whitney Cummings, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember the looks on their faces. They were like, I can't believe she's saying this out loud. But I was laughing. I thought it was funny. But I like irreverent comedians. So that's just who I am.
There you go.
To me, comedy is about how far can I cross the line without, people judging me, so.
She definitely does that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things that I don't. Who was your favorite late night host back in the day when late night host was like a thing? Like, were you like a Letterman guy, a Leno guy?
Well, Johnny Carson, but that because I go back further than you. But other than I was a big Letterman guy too, though. Yes.
See, I liked Leno. I was a Leno guy.
Really? Okay.
I liked the fact I felt he was more equal opportunist than Letterman was.
Okay. All right. I can see that.
I like my comedians who they can, like when it comes like, for example, politics, they'll shoot both sides at the same time,
I got you.
It's like my favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle. And like,
oh, really? Wow.
on one hand, he'll rip both parties in one shot, and then he'll just like rip the audience for like booing him. Like, he'll rip one candidate and be like, oh, you must have voted for that guy. And then he'll rip another candidate and, oh, you must have given money to that guy. Or something like that.
I'm a big Nate Bargatze guy. I like him a lot.
Oh, I like Bargatze. Okay.
Yeah. And Sebastian Maniscalco, was that his name? I forget how to pronounce
Oh,
his
yeah.
name,
The guy from the Bronx.
Yeah. I like him too.
Yeah, I went and saw Tara Kenneth-Strassi a couple months ago. She was in Big City.
Oh, all right.
She's a New York comedian. She's hilarious.
Good.
I love it when the comedians now also get the audience as part of the joke now. It's like it's fun to watch,
Yep.
All right, enough of us. We got to go to break. Dave, I appreciate it. Jumping on.
My pleasure, Josh, and Happy New Year, and thanks as always for all your support and your backing, and I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Dave Weinberg will be back for a Weinberg Wednesday next week here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig live at the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Don't forget, for your football weekend, you wanted to go to the Fanatics Sportsbook at the Gallery Bar Booking Games. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win at Fanatics Sportsbook inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll check back on the text board. Coming up next, 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Jeff from Ocean City, JW from Ocean City, two Ocean City guys texting in. We get your guys' messages and more coming up next.
The Eagles finish the 2024 regular season this Sunday, hosting their NFC East rivals, the New York Giants.
It's intercepted. Running with the football is Gardner Johnson. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Eagles on a pick six.
Pre-game coverage starts at noon with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatics Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia. For 75 years, Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning has been the name you trust, where one call does it all. Jenkins expert technicians have been delivering top-notch service to local homeowners. Renovating your kitchen or bath? Call Jenkins. Need a new heating or air conditioning system, service or maintenance, or even ductless air conditioning? Jenkins has you covered. They also specialize in water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning, water line, and sewer main repairs or replacements. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com today.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it, and the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Cooper's our new neighbor down the shore.
Introducing Cooper University Hospital, Cape Regional.
Healthcare is going to improve in Cape May County.
We're excited to bring our award-winning care to our new neighbors in Cape May and Atlantic counties. You'll have greater access to top specialists, advanced technology, innovative treatments, and outstanding cancer care at MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper. Cooper University Healthcare.
Extraordinary happens here.
The current federal government is actually going $1 trillion deeper in debt every 100 days. That's why thousands are turning to Goldco, a top-rated gold company, to diversify their savings with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on qualified purchases, they'll give you up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. Call 855-838-GOLD. That's 855-838-GOLD. Performance may vary. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max used for adults only.
The best call to make on game day is ordering catering from the Piccalilli Inn. For parties big or small, the Pick does it all. Your guests will be cheering for the Pick spin on football favorites like pulled pork nachos, cheesesteaks, burgers, and their award-winning buffalo wings, tails, and ears. Get your chicken wing fix on Route 206 at the Piccalilli Inn. Join the flock and follow the Pick on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for their Pick game specials. And be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to HIMSS.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
Stop the countdown. Don't let the new year pass you by. Get to Matt Blatt Mitsubishi to save the day. If you're a first-time buyer or you're under the conclusion you can't get approved for a car loan, Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. So if you have a job clearing $450 per week, we will work hard to get you approved. New Mirage, just $16,999. That's a new Mitsubishi Mirage E, under 17 grand. Plus zero down, zero payments until March, and 0% for 48 months. New Outlander Sport SUV, $24,999. No payments for 90 days, and zero down. Bring in any trade, and AJ the Trade Man will get you top dollar during the year-end sales event at Matt Blatt Mitsubishi.
Simply, Matt Blatt Mitsubishi.
Rate qualifications exist with approved credit $16.66 per 1,000 finance on in-stock 2024 Outlander Sports. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattmitsubishi.com for complete details or call 844-946-2315. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 1/15/25. Matt Blatt Mitsubishi in the heart of Glassboro for 30 years.
Jersey Cow, a great place for the family to hang out and eat ice cream. The Brigantine location is open 7 days a week from 2 till 9. Come check out the Christmas lights and decorations. The Northfield store is open from noon till 10, 7 days a week. Remember, they have heated concrete to take the edge off the cold. Enjoy new winter flavors like peppermint, peppermint bark, peppermint Oreo, and non-dairy peppermint. At Jersey Cow, everything is homemade, small batch, right here in South Jersey with only the best ingredients. Ice cream is a year-round thing at Jersey Cow.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
As promised, to get to you guys here on a Football Friday before we get the picks here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. GW in Ocean City chimes in, says, Josh, I agree with you, but Howie being able to do things right in the draft and in trades. Jeff Stoutland has to get a lot of credit for developing the offensive line. He took a rugby player, turned him into a football player. A guy who never played center in the NFL, and a tackle into a guard and made them an elite group. That's from JW in Ocean City. You're 100% right. You know, Jeff Stoutland has to be part of this conversation as well. That's why, for me, I don't understand why Kellen Moore would be a candidate for a head coaching job when I think the person who deserves the most credit for the Eagles' offensive success this year has been Jeff Stoutland. That dude has crafted one of the best offensive lines of football and who led the way for a 2,000-yard rusher. Yeah, I can't give Kellen Moore credit for that. I just can't. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in. Says the Eagles are a lock for the NFC Championship game. A title game on the road scares me. Also, he says Atlantic City is up 18-17 over Ocean City at halftime. All right, well, good for them. I don't know what to do with that information. I mean, come on. How many people listening really care about the Atlantic City Ocean City game right now? And you're listening to me on 97.3 ESPN. George Summers Point will be our final texter. He says the best thing about the Eagles doing well and heading into the playoffs is that we do not even have to think about or talk about the Sixers. George from Summers Point, that's a good job by you. Sixers are an abomination last night. I mean, how does this team keep playing horrible defense? How do you have so many veterans and you keep playing poor defensively? All right, it's time for my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century. Or the week.
Mike Evans of the Bucks. He needs 85 receiving yards and 5 catches this weekend for a $3 million bonus. So give me the over 105 receiving yards as my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century. Or the week.
Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll catch you Monday.
Something good to know from...
All right, for the YouTube-only crowd, thank you for tuning in. Remember to watch, like, subscribe, share with your friends. You get the full Football Friday picks right here on the YouTube channel each and every week throughout every football season. We've been doing this since 2018. The Football Friday picks on 97.3 ESPN, and then the YouTube exclusive picks since 2020. So, this year so far, let's review some of the picks we have done. So, college football after last night's games, Ole Miss hit the over 34.5. We got that. Notre Dame covered the spread. They got that. I was wrong about Oregon versus Ohio State. I gave you guys the Penn State, Boise State under as well. So all the college football picks so far this year, we are 122, 70, and 2. We are hitting at 63.5% of the picks. Not bad, right? NFL so far this year, we are hitting 61.5, so slightly under the college football picks. So overall, we are hitting at 62% on all of football this season. So here is the full rundown of the picks for the NFL weekend. Remember, this is the weekend of the incentive, folks. Do not let the sports books lie to you. Do not let them manipulate you. Do not let them play you. There are moves to be made on a weekend like this that are only based on one rule and one rule alone. Players want to be paid for their work. So, we know there are incentives. We know players want to be paid for all the hard work they do. And those bonuses, they're a big deal. So, we start with Mike Evans for two reasons, by the way. One, because the Bucs still have something to play for. Don't forget, the Tampa Bay Bucs are a team that is still trying to win their division. All right? So, I think what needs to be kept in mind is when you have a team that still has something to play for, okay, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position that if you're the Bucs, look, you got to win. You can't just hope for the best, all right? The Buccaneers have a couple scenarios they're playing for right now. Number one, they're playing to win their division, okay? They must win against New Orleans on Sunday, number one. Number two, they could still move up to the 3 seed, which would be bad news for Eagle fans. But part of them winning is going to come down to Mike Evans. Mike Evans needs 85 receiving yards at minimum and at least 5 catches. Both of those hit, he is going to get an extra $3 million in his paycheck. Now, the reason why I'm going with the over 100.5 receiving yards,
Stone Cold Lock of the Century, or the week,
is because Mike Evans has been playing like a man possessed since he came back from his injury. I know this because he's on my fantasy football team, all right? The fantasy football team that came in 3rd place in my one league. So, and it was in large part because when Mike Evans got back on the field, he has been on a mission. Mike Evans, 3 of the last 5 games, has at least 97 receiving yards. Mike Evans, 4 of the last 5 games, has at least 5 catches. And Mike Evans, over those 5 games, has 5 receiving touchdowns. He is the heartbeat of the Buccaneers offense. And if you go through the entire 2024 season, when Mike Evans has at least 90 receiving yards this season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-0. Literally, they do not lose when that man has a big game. So if Tampa Bay is trying to win the division, Mike Evans having a big game is my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century, or the week.
Couple more very interesting incentive players to keep an eye on with their lines this weekend, okay? Kyler Murray playing for the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals don't have anything to play for. Sorry, they don't have anything to play for like the Buccaneers do, okay? But there is still something interesting for them, which is you have guys, remember I was telling you, guys are playing for jobs this time of year. Kyler Murray is not just playing for his job. He is playing for an extra $750,000. Yes. If Kyler Murray rushes for at least 50 yards and gets another rushing touchdown before the end of the 2024 season, he will make an extra $750,000. That's a significant amount of money. And someone like Kyler Murray, who is more than capable of getting, 50 rushing yards shouldn't be that hard for a dynamic athlete like him. And I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised that the over-under on the rushing yards is only 33.5. So you know what?
Let's get it. Another one. Another one. Another one.
The Cardinals are playing a team in San Francisco who literally has nothing to play for. They are playing out this string of the season. And if you got nothing to play for, I'm not going to sit here and act like you're some great, matchup to stop a guy like Kyler Murray from getting his numbers. Now you might be asking, well, Josh, what is Kyler Murray doing this year in terms of running the ball? Well, I'm glad you asked. On the season, Kyler Murray is averaging 34 rushing yards a game. Well, the number is 33.5. If he needs 50, but he's averaging 34, but he needs over 33.5 for you to hit the bet, well, that sounds like a pretty easy winner to me. And by the way, on the season, may I remind you how many games Kyler Murray has rushed for at least 40 yards this year? 7. Yes. That is half of the games this year he has gotten at least 40 rushing yards. Only 3 games did he get single-digit rushing yards. I think Kyler Murray is going to get that number. Finally, we are going to stay in the NFC West for one more incentive pick before I give you a line number. And that has to do with the Seattle Seahawks, a team that got eliminated from the postseason last week, but they are a team that has a quarterback with something to play for. That being Geno Smith. Geno Smith can make an extra $2 million if he gets over 186 passing yards. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Josh, the 247.5 is a lot more than what you're talking about. To which I say, I understand. I understand the apprehension when it comes to 247 yards for a guy who only needs 186. But the Seattle Seahawks are playing a Los Angeles Rams team that is sitting almost their entire team. So you know what?
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
$2 million, still $2 million. I think Geno Smith going to stop at 186 yards just because he hit the number. He ain't paying attention to that. He's going to throw for over 200. You know why Geno's going to throw for over 200? Because Geno, like most players, is playing for his football future. Geno Smith needs to make sure that he is still a starting quarterback in the league next season. Geno Smith has thrown for over 250 yards 8 times this year. And one of those teams was the Los Angeles Rams. Against the Rams starters, he threw for 363 yards. So we are going to go with Geno Smith over 247.5 yards and to get his $2 million.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Finally, we have Sunday Night Football, arguably the biggest game of the year. This will decide the number one seed in the NFC playoffs. It will also decide who is the team that Eagle fans are going to be cheering the hardest to lose in the divisional round of the playoffs. Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. I got to tell you guys, I think this game is absolutely fascinating because for whatever reason, the Lions just keep finding ways to win and nobody knows how. The Vikings are on a 9-game winning streak. Both these teams are 14-2. It's the first time in NFL history that two teams are meeting in the final week of the season who both have at least 13 or more wins on the year. Well, you know, guys, I'm a big believer in what happens when you play somebody the first time. The first time the Lions played the Vikings, the Lions won 31-29. In that game, the Lions were much healthier than they are now. Even the Lions are supposed to get Alex Anzalone back for the game this week. They are still without 12 other players on injured reserve, are the Detroit Lions on defense. Just on defense. You don't think Minnesota is going to put up big numbers against this defense? That's reason number one I'm going with that pick. Number two, I looked at the numbers. If you add up the team totals of the Lions and Vikings, it adds up to 57 points. The over-under is 56.5. The first time they played this year, the total was 60 points that they scored. So you know what?
Let's get it. Another one. Another one. Another one.
Shootout on Sunday Night Football. Give me the over 56.5 for two teams that know how to score points and will be fighting and clawing and scoring their way to a victory. And in this case, you don't have to worry about a side. You don't have to worry about the Lions or the Vikings winning. You can just sit back with your favorite drink and your favorite snack on Sunday night and just say, points, baby. Keep scoring. Because you know what? That's what both these teams are really good at, actually. Did you know that the Minnesota Vikings this season have scored the 9th most points in the NFL? And the Detroit Lions have scored the most points in the NFL. And you really think I'm crazy to think it's going to be a low-scoring game? No. That's your final pick for Football Friday. Here on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate you all watching the post show here on my YouTube channel. And I'll catch you all on Monday to recap the NFL weekend and get our first look at the NFL postseason. I'm Josh Hennig. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Hennig. X platform. Instagram at Joshua S. Hennig. Have a great weekend, everybody. Please be safe out there. It's supposed to snow a little bit Friday night, but it's going to be very cold Saturday and Sunday, and it's supposed to snow again on Monday. So please be careful. Whatever your plans are this weekend, take care of yourselves. Don't go crazy. Enjoy the sports. I'll catch you all next week. Take care, everyone.